G'day trendsetters, I'm John with Gravel Cyclist and I'm coming to you today with a review not of the Allies CycleWorks Echo, rather the massive bike case behind it. This is the EVOC Road Bike Bag Pro. Now you might be wondering what the heck, this is a gravel bike of sorts. Well, this case is not discerning. It doesn't care what sort of bike goes inside the case, provided the handlebars fit inside the front part of the case, which I'll demonstrate momentarily. All this case requires you to do is remove the wheels, the pedals, and in my case, the seat post. Throw it inside the case. The case has a frame, which I'll demonstrate as well. Zip it up, and it's ready for transport with a minimum of fuss. This is not my first rodeo, so to speak, with this case. Prior to this footage, I took this case to Australia late 2019, early 2020, and I had a lot of footage recorded, but then coronavirus happened and I wasn't too happy with that footage, so I said, what the hell, let's start from scratch. But the case has been to Australia and back, and the next trip, this case is taking this bike to Colorado. The obvious fact to get out of the way, this case weighs 11 kilograms empty, including some wheel bags and some padding. It's about 24 pounds as you see it. So you need to bear in mind that with most airlines, 50 pounds is the magic number. Anything under, you're okay. Anything over, you might be subjected to oversized baggage. And a lot of airlines, thankfully, have dropped the oversize requirement on shipping bicycles, which is fantastic news. The case in terms of its dimensions, and I'll convert this to imperial on the screen, it measures 130 centimeters long by 92 centimeters high and 53 centimeters wide. It's time to zip open the case so you can see what happens inside. Hello, dog. Here you see a lovely zipper. Also, it has a TSA friendly combination lock. There are also plenty of handles. There's one here at the front. There's a pair of handles on top and another pair of handles either side of the case and another handle right here. And as you can see, baggage tags hanging over from my trip to Australia with Qantas Airlines, the only way to fly. This case is really easy to handle. I like to grab it by the back end, lift it up. It feels very light and off you go toting. Right there are two roller wheels that make life easy dragging this bag through the airport. The bag simply unzips, just like that. It's like a big clamshell. There you go, it pops open. Here's the manual, never leave home without it, just in case you forget how these ribs work inside the case. And there's a compression member which you can size or shrink, and that prevents the rear of the case from being squished. I'll remove the wheel bags and the padding I have inside the case so you can see what's going on. There's the EVOC wheel bags. And I'm a little bit over cautious. I have bubble wrap and so on inside the case, which I place over parts of the frame, which you'll see soon. Hopefully you can see that. There is a frame on the bottom right there. This is a little protector that goes over the top of the handlebars. I'll pull the frame out of the case so you can get a look, and I'll load the bike onto it in a second. The frame itself is held to the bottom of the case by these retention straps. Very easy to release. And the frame simply pops out just like that. Here's the bike. I've already removed the pedals to save a bit of time. Now I'm just removing the rear wheel. I'll be using the through bolt to lock the bike down to this part of the EVOC's frame. Remove the front wheel. The frame for the EVOC has 4 places at the rear end to adjust your height of the bike as it sits on the frame. So in the case of the bike I'm going to install on here, it's going to sit in the top position. So that's slotted in. And likewise, the front, you have end caps. You can get quick release, regular 9mm, and in my case I've got 12mm, and there are 2 positions. Now it's time to load the bicycle onto the EVOC's frame. I line the front end first, the fork. There we go, it's in place. Then the rear of the bike, I guide the chain over the tube that the through axle is going to thread through. So the bike is sitting on the frame, it's ready to be bolted down now. And you can see here, the chain rotates, no worries at all. So there's no hassles or worries about the drivetrain being knackered, etc. To lock the front end of the bike down, because this bike features disc brakes, I'll use a couple of, I want to stick those into the brakes and basically stop the pads from being compressed closed if someone were to press the brake levers. Lock down the rear of the bike in the same manner as the front. Thread the through axle through, bike's locked down, and then as a precautionary measure, install the brake protector. Now you can see the bike is pretty well locked down to the frame. I mean, I can shake it around a place, but it is locked down securely. Next, remove the seat post and always place a marker of some kind so you know where your height is set. Seat post out, and in my case, disconnect the DI2, done. Now it's time to load the bike on its frame into the EVOC case. The case also has a number of side pockets so you can stash the seat post, pedals and so on in a safe manner. This is where it helps to have a second person hanging around a place, so you can kind of spread the case at the front to get the handlebars to fit in. Now, the thing that's not going to be working for some folks is flared handlebars. These handlebars are 42 centimeters center to center. I think this case will accommodate 46s, but if you've got really big flares, you're out of luck. Here you can see the bike is sitting inside the EVOC case. Next, I want to lock the frame down to the base of the case with those straps I showed earlier. This is not the optimal angle to be doing this. Really need to be in front of the camera, but I'm trying to show everyone here how this is accomplished. That's the front half locked down. If you see right there, the case is locked down. Lock down the rear end, and done. Now it's time to protect the front of the bike. I like to place some bubble wrap, etc. over the shifters and handlebars. Then I'll use the supplied handlebar protector, and this has two straps that lock together. Place it over the handlebars and link the two connectors up. Not rocket science. Now it's time to load the wheels into the case, these beautiful NVAR disc wheels, I might add. Ordinarily, you could use the EVOC supplied wheel bags, but because I'm loading a gravel bike, these tires on these wheels are not going to fit into these bags. They're fine for a road bike, which was the original intent of this case. So I have to utilize some other bags I happen to have laying around. I happen to have an older pair of Mavic Cerium bags in a very fetching red, and I can pack the wheels complete with the tires inflated, sealant installed, and so on. Here is a wheel with its bag. I'm going to insert the wheel into place right there so it sits between the handlebar and the frame. And I repeat the process for the second wheel. Another thing you can do is throw your water bottles onto the frame. I would advise emptying them of water first. This is just for the demonstration. Utilize some space, no worries at all. All that's left of the bike is the seat post and the pedal. So I will wrap the seat post and put it inside the bottom of the box. Seat post and saddle nicely wrapped up and protected, and I'm going to place them between the stays of the bike. Nicely centered, out of harm's way. All I have to do now is load the pedals, and these are expensive pedals, the Garmin XC 200 pound-meter measuring pedals. I have a review of these coming, a long-term review. I'm going to stash them into this handy little pedal pouch right here, but I'm going to wrap them up in some plastic so they don't bang each other about the place. Into the pouch they go. All that's left to do now is install the compression member. I showed that earlier. So this will prevent the bike from being squished this direction against the Velcro there. It's actually set at the good width already. Zip it up. What I want to do now is weigh the case with the bare bike as it is. Don't forget, I've got 2 full water bottles inside, so that's going to simulate tools and so on. What I want is this entire case to be weighing less than 50 pounds. All right, so the case and everything you saw thus far, 47.2 pounds. So I've got 3 pounds left to play with. Next, it's time to head to the airport and hopefully check in this bag sans hassles. Time to check in for the flight. No worries at all. Got the bag. Time to collect the rental car. Time to load the rental car trendsetters. For those wondering, this is a Mitsubishi Overland SUV. So you'll want to rent a vehicle where you can fold the seats down and obviously fit in a decent amount of luggage into the car. You absolute bloody beauty. Case fits inside, no worries at all. Apologies for the low light. It's 11 o'clock at night. I'm inside the hotel room, which means it's time to build the bike. There you go, folks. Done. Wheels on, pedals on, seat post in. Less than 10 minutes. Good morning, everybody. Here is the case loaded into the back of the car. Now I've got the bike sitting on top, front wheel removed, fits in no worries at all. And there's my suitcase. There we go. Done. Got a ton of crap on top of the case. No worries. It's time to wrap up my long-term review of the EVOC Road Bike Bag Pro case. But before I do that, I need to note, I'm on my 4th trip with the case. I flew this bike, the Parley Cycles Chabaco XD, all the way from Gainesville, Florida to Salt Lake City, Utah. The 3 prior trips were from Gainesville, Florida to Adelaide, South Australia, round trip. And there was a trip in Australia from Adelaide to Melbourne and return. And the 3rd trip was from Gainesville, Florida to Denver, Colorado. So the case has seen some serious mileage and not once has any damage occurred to any of the bikes held inside. The big negative of this case is its price, $900 US. But do you value the security and integrity of your expensive bicycle? I think it's hard to put a price on that, and this case is so easy to use. Barring my extended demonstration of the case in the real world, I can disassemble and pack the bike in about 15 minutes. I can reassemble it in about 10, so it's arguably a pretty nice solution and a very fast setup. The other negative is transporting this case inside a vehicle. Granted, you can reduce it somewhat in size by removing the side ribs, but not everybody's going to want to endure that sort of process during a trip, so you'll have to rent a car that is of appropriate size. In my case, I've rented an SUV every time. So all of that taken into consideration, I really think this is the best bike case going on the market, provided you do not have flared handlebars. That's going to be an issue for some people, obviously. It's robust, it's heavy duty, and it's pretty easy to tote around the airport. And I usually travel with a suitcase, this case, a laptop, and a backpack, and I can do it all by myself. I cannot recommend this case highly enough. So there you have it, my long-term review of the EVOC Road Bike Pro bike case, or gravel bike bag in my case. There are several boxes, containers and methods for transporting your bicycle on an aeroplane these days, so I hope that my review went some way into helping you make an informed purchase decision. Thank you for watching. If you haven't already, please consider subscribing to the Gravel Cyclist YouTube channel for detailed product reviews such as this one, ride experience videos, no bull gravel bike reviews and other madness, as all of it is released to the channel. I'll see you in the next video.